Happy Monday, traders and investors. It's Rod with POW Group. Welcome back in the pursuit of wealth for a daily market recap and an MJ sector review. Today's review for Monday, June 28th. I hope you all had a great weekend and a great day out there today. In today's video, we're going to be discussing as the main topic of the day, GrowGeneration. And they announced inclusion in the Russell 2000 index and also confirmed a weekly uptrend. So going to do some detailed analysis on the GrowGeneration chart and ticker symbol GRWG. And we'll look at that in just a moment and this news article. But as we normally do, we'll run through some news and events today, going to do the MJ sector all in one. And like I said, we'll do some news and events. Then we'll look at the broader market, and then we'll look at the GRWG and the rest of the MJ space. So before we jump in, make sure to smash the like and subscribe to the channel. And I'll also put some timestamps in the description below as well. Currently going through a major heat wave here and finding it a little hard to breathe. It's pretty stuffy, got air conditioning, but just doesn't seem to be cutting it. Definitely gonna have to get a bigger one, but parts of BC and Alberta getting like 44 degrees Celsius, just shattering records. So let me know in the comments below what temperature it is in your neck of the woods. Also, another article just come in here now. Kathy Wood's ARK invests files to create a Bitcoin ETF. That is some big news. So we'll look at that here in just a second. So the S&P 500 NASDAQ rise to record highs to start the week, led by Facebook. And we had an all-time high record daily close as the bulls maintain their strength in the market and their dominance. Hard to be bearish. Conditions are favorable for investors, Swartz says. So Barry Swartz, he's a chief investment officer and portfolio manager at Baskin Wealth Management, and basically not seeing any kind of warning signs whatsoever. And a lot of people still bearish, but I remember seeing an article months ago that basically this market is just going to keep going until every last bear has been turned to bull. And that's generally what happens, is we see the scales start to tip, and so many people we run out of buyers, we run out of sellers, and that's what causes a top or a bottom in a market. But right now it doesn't look like that top is being hit anytime soon. I think that we're going to likely run to about 450, 500 on SPY on the S&P 500 before the end of this bull cycle, which I think could run into the end of the year and potentially the first quarter or so of 2022. So Facebook closes above the $1 trillion market cap for the first time, and that came after this news that the judge dismissed the FTC and state antitrust complaints against Facebook. So moving on, that's obviously very bullish for the stock, but Kathy Wood's ARK invests files to create a Bitcoin ETF, and it's so new, there's really no details on this. So this is going to be huge. And just before we continue here, we are starting to see Bitcoin recover here. So we're going to see if that is going to have an impact, but I certainly think it would, especially that's something I've been keeping an eye out for lately, is what I think could really create a temporary bottom in this market and continue this bull cycle in the crypto space would be the approval of an ETF. And I do believe that we could see it here before the end of the year. And as we know, nothing happens without the big banks, so JP Morgan's and of the world. So now that they are all, and Goldman Sachs are all positioned, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Goldman Sachs or something like that, a big bank ETF, or even a Kathy Woods. Who knows? Anything's possible at this point. Also, the world's biggest crypto exchange is running into trouble everywhere, it seems. So on Friday, the Japanese Financial Services Agency issued Binance its second warning in 3 years. Also on Saturday, the UK's Financial Conduct Authority, FCA, banned Binance Markets Limited, a British entity owned by the Cayman Islands-based Binance, from carrying out any regulated activities in the country. And also Ontario, the Canadian province of Ontario, banning it as well. So they did respond, so you can check out the response, but I won't go through all that just for the sake of this, the time in this video. But essentially they said that, Binance said they're ready to work with regulators, whatever they need to do to essentially to continue to operate, they're willing to do. So GrowGeneration announces inclusion in the Russell 2000 index. The nation's largest chain of specialty hydroponic and organic garden centers today was added to a member of the U.S. Small Cap Russell 2000 Index, effective after the U.S. markets opened today, June 28th, as part of the 2021 Russell Index's reconstitution. Membership in the Russell 2000 Index, which remains in place for 1 year, is based on the membership in the broad market Russell 3000 Index. The stock was automatically added to the appropriate growth and value index. So big news for the stock and a huge milestone. Also, Hexocorp formalizes its U.S. presence with acquisition of production facility in Colorado. And that closed today. So announced the closing of the previous disclosed transaction to purchase its first U.S. production facility through the wholly owned U.S. subsidiary. And it's a 50,000 square foot facility in Fort Collins, Colorado. Will provide U.S. CPG companies and consumers access to the powered by Hexo technology and products. Also, a question for all of our audience out there. Let me know in the comments below. Do you expect to see news about a new CPG partner, or do you expect to see news of a new state entry? Hexo entering a new state. Let me know in the comments below. Personally, I think we could see the new state entry news before a new CPG, but this could have even been a prerequisite for that new CPG partner, and it's obviously going to expand on the JV with Molson Coors and the Trusts USA, CBD USA, but it's also going to equip them very well for the CPG partner, and very well, and we'll see if we get that as a prerequisite. It's possible that the CPG partner wanted this facility to close first to show the commitment from Hexo's side. But again, personally, I think we could see news from a new state that Hexo could be entering, and likely going to utilize this. This facility is not only going to be used for the Molson Coors JV, but would also help in servicing and fulfilling all those orders into new states. So personally, I think we could see a state before the CPG partner. Let me know what your thoughts are on that in the comments below. Also, Cannara Biotech Inc. reports preliminary results ahead of third quarter 2021. So the company is pleased to announce preliminary unaudited revenue results for the 3-month period ended May 31st, 2021. So our market, I won't go through all of this, but essentially they go on to just basically explain that consumer deserves and are looking for high quality and premium flower. And as part of their strategy to expand and market reach, our acquisition of the Valleyfield facility was driven by the anticipation of tremendous growth in revenue for this past quarter. So let's take a look. Preliminary third quarter highlights. The company expects total revenue net of excise tax for the third quarter ended May 2021 to be approximately $7.1 million, representing a $5.1 million increase compared to the second quarter of 2021, not 2020, 2021. So this past quarter, they just received their license back in January, I believe it was. So that is some monster growth, and it's no wonder they wanted to purchase the T-Gods Valleyfield facility. Just to give you some perspective, if that comes in at 7.1 million, Kronos has been operating for how long, right? Almost a decade. And we're sitting at 12.61 million in revenue. We're over half of that. And they just got their license in January. And shout out to QC and our group for sharing this with us. But this is a name that I've grown very fond of. And you can check out the rest of their highlights there. I won't go over it in detail, but we'll see a more formal communication and audited version of that. But essentially, 7.1 million, I think Cannara is going to be a big player in this space. And that's very evident just looking at the comparison here of 12 million with Kronos. It's just absolutely mind-boggling to think where Cannara could be in the next year or so. So Bitcoin and the crypto space bouncing back here a bit after that news with Kathy Woods and the ARC Bitcoin ETF. So we were in a 15-minute downtrend, and we're looking to confirm a 15-minute uptrend here. If we can get over that 34,600 area, that would confirm a 15-minute uptrend. But taking a look at the daily chart, not really a whole lot to report here today. Essentially, we had resistance at 35,500. We got as high as 35,300 and started to pull back. So we have a bit of an equilibrium forming here with a low, high, higher, low, lower, high. But if we do get over 35,500, that will confirm a daily uptrend. And that's going to mark our weekly bottom at that point. And we could still see that EMA 12 and 26 bear cross. It was a weekly bear flag, but we didn't see much follow through. So bulls are trying to hold that support like there's no tomorrow. And it is key support now at 28,800. And we're going to be watching that 35,500 to confirm that daily uptrend. And like I said, I'm still extremely bullish on the crypto space. So SPY, S&P 500 with an all-time high record daily close. We held the low. We had a nice lower wick today, so we held the low of Friday to prevent daily consolidation from happening. So 425.55 had to hold it. We got a low of 425.89. So we're going to be watching that 425.89 level tomorrow. We haven't consolidated on the daily since 414.70 when we just V-shaped recovery into a new all-time high. If you've been tuning into this channel, that's basically what I said I was expecting to happen. And it's just been the theme of 2020 and 2021 where we just V-shape into all-time highs or higher highs. But from that low, we bounced over 3%, and we have gone now 6 days in a row without any daily consolidation. So we know it's due, but don't fight these bulls. We're not even close to daily overbought yet. So we're going to be watching for the low. Keep it simple. As long as we maintain the low of the previous day, then the daily bounce is still, still in underway, and bulls are still in full control of the SPY chart. Taking a look at the dollar, so the dollar bouncing today, but had an upper wick, still got about 2.5 hours, a little under left on the day, but it was a daily bull flag, still holding that support there at 91.51. So that's going to be key support, and then resistance to break is 92.40. So IWM started the day off weak today, but had a nice lower wick after losing EMA 12, but managed to close above it. So IWM was weak this morning, but QQQ was just full bull all day long. And I still think back to a couple of members in our group saying, should we short QQQ back here? I think it was at 348, and I said absolutely not. The market was pulling back, and QQQ was extremely strong. We were still in a daily uptrend, still holding and closing above EMA 12, which we have since we got above it here back on the 3rd of June. And here we are, 348 at 353. So again, don't fight these bulls. We are now touching on daily overbought, and it's been a while since we pulled back. And like I said, today we had that rotation game going on where money was flowing into the tech sector and the semiconductor ETF, SMH. So it's possible that we see a daily inside bar tomorrow, but watch for potential consolidation in the tech sector and the semiconductor sector, and then some rotation into some other sectors like IWM, which was consolidating today, looking for a daily higher low. So the more names that start to consolidate, and as long as all of our sectors are not consolidating at the same time, we know that the S&P 500 isn't going to see significant downside. So we're going to be watching for that higher low pattern. And the US oil chart started daily consolidation today, a little over an hour and 20 minutes left to go, and closing near the low. So it's not looking good here, but still holding the 10-day moving average at 72.59. So close above that would be bullish. And very, very strong. US oil still extremely strong at 75 psychological, and then resistance on the daily up at 76.88. So we'll be watching those as well. So the metals were weak. Well, not too bad, I guess. Silver didn't bounce on the daily, so we started daily consolidation, but didn't really see that much follow through. But again, we were weak today, especially at the beginning of the morning. A lot of our sectors were weak. Pretty much every sector was weak except for the tech sector and the semiconductor sector. So we're trying to fight off daily bear flags here at the moment on the metals, but at this point there's not really much to report from the video on Friday, I believe it was. So XBI broke out, but we pulled back, so pretty nasty reversal here on the day today. And again, we started off weak. We saw profit taken at the open, and then it was just, we were in a 5-minute uptrend, and then we lost that EMA, and then it was just all bears from there. Ended up closing near the low of the day. So biotech sector looks like, and it is down here slightly after hours, but not by much. So we'll be watching to see whether or not the biotech sector consolidates tomorrow. So again, the more names that consolidate, the more downside we can anticipate on the S&P 500. XLE, so not surprising that it was consolidating today with oil's weakness down over 1.6%. Financial sector, so it looks like we held the low of Friday just barely. Well, we lost it by 2 pennies. So not much follow through there, and we're just looking for a higher low compared to 35.18 if we do lose the low of the day today tomorrow. But we'll be watching for a potential daily bull flag and trend change attempt. Bull's got a lot of room now. We can pull back essentially from here about a little over 4%. Still just be looking for a daily higher low. So XLV set up for a potential daily inside bar again tomorrow. So we could have double inside bars and tightening range. So we'll be watching that. But again, continue to watch that rotation. On the bull and bear list today, with EH was up over 11%, so congrats to the bulls there. Just keep in mind that we haven't changed the daily trend, or the weekly trend rather, since 1975 low here. So we will, when we do top out here, we'll look to form a higher low compared to 1975, but we do need to change that weekly trend ASAP to set this monthly higher low here at 1975. And then we would have held EMA 12 as well on that pullback, so it's looking good. Coin and Riot led the bull list as well, and EV, so NEO and Tesla had a pretty good day today. MVMD, CWeb, and SU led the decline today. And SU, I put out a warning video there last week, I believe it was, or maybe the week before that, and I said it's looking a little bearish. We had that double top there, and we had a heavy resistance there at 26. So it's all about 23.22 closing to the low of the day today. If we lose 23.22, that confirms a daily downtrend, and we could be heading down to the $20 area. And I may look to potentially load up some in that area. So we'll look at GRWG here. So we did confirm a weekly uptrend today. So you can see here we had the low at 33.91, the high at 45.35, higher low here at 38.84, and then closed at 48.42. So we do have a lack of resistance though on the weekly up here until 57.10. Then we have a level at 59.32, 60 psychological, and then the all-time high there at 67.75. So weekly uptrend confirmed. This is what we want to see as bulls in the MJ space. And a lot of names held their EMA 12, monthly EMA 12 on these pullbacks. And with the prospect of US legalization and federal ending prohibition at the federal level, removing it from a Schedule 1, drug. So lots of positive catalysts in the future. We could see major uplisting across the space, which is going to create, this is on the NASDAQ already, but once we see MSOs and other MJ related names able to uplist, that's going to create this huge wave of euphoria and excitement and just, FOMO. And we're going to see some incredible levels in my opinion. But when we're consolidating on the monthly, that's when I know a lot of people are starting to get frustrated with the MJ space, but that's what they do, right? That's what these market makers do, is the market can stay irrational longer than we can stay solvent. And as soon as people start to lose attention, that's when I start to pay attention, because like I said, a lot of people, my video views are down. There's so many people frustrated online. Why is SPY at all-time highs? Why is all these other growth sectors exploding and MJ still hasn't doing anything? It's because they're shaking out, and they're shaking out all the weak hands, and they're also just dragging it on so that they can basically get people to lose attention and then sell their shares, sell their cheap shares, and then that's when the real move happens. So usually the final shakeout before the breakout, and everything is looking good here. That's what we wanted to see, was a weekly uptrend confirmed to mark our monthly higher lows. And we do have a lack of resistance, like I said, up to that $57 area. So the more names that confirm their weekly uptrends, the better, and the more likelihood that we're going to see monthly higher lows and temporary bottoms being set in the MJ space. But GRWG is looking really good in terms of the weekly moving average. That's down at 42.49, so a close above that last week was bullish, and then looking like we could see another close above it here this week. Still lots of time left though, and the stochastic had a bull cross, MACD looking to cross bullish as well. So if we can see that into the end of the week, that would be fantastic, and bulls would obviously welcome that with open arms. We did have a low here at 33.02, and we got as low as 33.91. So nice potential bottom fish play there off of 33.02 support. We also had the 50 weekly moving average not far behind. And if we take a look here, we'd held the 200-day moving average as well. So a lot of names, Tilray, Sundial, they all held their 200-day moving average. And that is what potentially marked the bottom in this space, in my opinion. And very notable that GRWG held it. And if we take a look at that level, that lined up perfectly with that 33. So nice bottom fishing play there off $33, looking for that monthly higher low. Now seeing that weekly trend change follow through. So congrats to the bulls. That is when you wanted to be buying. We had those nice lower wicks there as well, showing that bulls were eager to buy the dip. So going to be keeping a close eye on the rest of the sector to see how many names can change their weekly trends, especially in the US sector. As we know, they've been just getting slammed recently ever since the all-time highs, and they've been very, very, very bearish, and that was evident in the MSOS chart. But take a look at the rest of the space. We had KHRN and KBEV leading the bull list today. On the bear list, we had TAUG, TAT, and CWEB. So let's just take a look at MSOS. So we're still holding that $40 area, but we did lose that support at 37.56. And again, this is when you want to start paying attention, right? A lot of people were likely getting, stopped out or frustrated, and then they just exited on that break of 37.56. And this could be the time where that was the final shakeout before the breakout, and going to be watching if we can close over EMA 12 at 40.73 this week on MSOS, that's going to be extremely bullish. Going to be watching that like a hawk. And on the daily time frame today, we didn't break the low of the previous day, so it's been very correlated to the to the overall broader market as well. Not so much in the last the previous week, but in the last few days, it's been very correlated. And we have yet to start daily consolidation in 4 days now. So we do have a gap here at 39.08 to be watching as well. And like I said, as soon as we lose that low, so we'll be watching the low of the day today at 40.04 to hold tomorrow. If we lose that, we start daily consolidation. But bulls are looking for that higher low when we do start to consolidate, and bulls got a ton of room to form that higher low and higher high. Essentially from that top, we could have pulled back about almost 8% off that daily oversold bounce that took place and still just be looking for a daily higher low. So we'll start with the daily trend change. Once we confirm a daily uptrend, then we'll zoom out to the weekly. Bulls will hope to get as big of a bounce as possible on the weekly and then form a weekly higher low and then change that weekly trend, just like GRWG here, the low, high, higher low, and higher high. So moving on to the Canadian MJ space. So we had XLY, TGOD, and Labs leading the decline. And on the bull list, we had KBEV, RIV, and PWR, followed by Tilray. So again, the more names that confirm these weekly uptrends, the better. And Tilray set up for one. Let's just take a look at some of our other major names. So Hexo held up pretty well today, got close to changing the daily trend, but it's holding this support in this weekly equilibrium. It's also a potential weekly inverse head and shoulders. So if we break 755, that's going to confirm a weekly uptrend. We want to see, US MJ, we want to see Canadian MJ to be extremely bullish and to expect, some sort of catalyst in terms of US legalization. If we see weekly uptrends across the board in both US and the Canadian markets, that's going to increase the odds that we could see some positive news and positive developments in the MJ space, because that would obviously affect the entire sector and create a lot of hype. And as we know, Canadian MJ has access to the NASDAQ and the NYSE, so big capital can really take advantage of that liquidity, and we may see more percentage of upside in those Canadian LPs until MSOs start to uplist. And like I said, Hexo today on the daily time frame got close to changing that daily trend. We had resistance at 601, formed a higher low here at 575 compared to the low at 555, and we got as high as 599, so it came within 2 pennies, but rejected at EMA 12 once again and had an upper wick there on the day today. So not set up that great if SPY sees weakness into tomorrow, but we're going to be watching for that daily trend change. And then if we confirm the daily uptrend, then our new daily support is going to be established here at 575. And then we'll zoom out to the weekly, and then we'll be watching for 755 to break. So pretty much going to end it there. MNMD, so Mind Medicine, bouncing on the daily again today, so we'll be watching for the low of the day to hold tomorrow after that massive volume on Friday. But it's set up for a potential daily inside bar into tomorrow. So going to be watching the low of the day today on a lot of names out there tomorrow. So thanks again for joining us on the Pursuit of Wealth for a daily market recap and an MJ sector review. Hope you had a great day today, and we'll see you tomorrow after market close.